Welcome back to the What's Next podcast, where we sit down with your local San Diego real estate agents. And you know what? If we're going to talk real estate, we talk real estate. If we don't, we don't. We just learn more about who they are. It's your neighborhood, so we want to learn about who is selling the homes out there. You know me. I'm your host, Levi Casada. I got my co-host here today, Brandon Wood.
What's happening?
What's going on, buddy?
Good to be here.
It's a Thursday. Your week's going good. We got March Madness and almost in full effect.
Yeah, it's a good week.
Yeah,
flying by.
It does fly by. March is almost gone.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Just started.
Well, today Brandon brought me someone that you're gonna love him. You're gonna love him. We've already sat down, and chatted. Never met him before. This is gonna be such an amazing podcast. I just know it. He's an Air Force veteran. He's a Platinum Elite team member at the Dean Aguilar Group. He is new to the industry, but man, look out for him. He is up and coming quick. He is knowledgeable. He looks like a model, for one thing. But please welcome our guest, Jexsi Grey. What's up? What's up? Well, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to What's Next.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. This is going to be fun. So we've got a lot to dive into, but first off, you are born in the United States, but you are raised in Jamaica.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Kingston, Jamaica. So
Yes.
we're going to start off with a little icebreaker.
Okay.
We'll see how Brandon does on it as well.
Kingston and Montego Bay.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Montego Bay.
Okay, so this is all Kingston. This is okay. It's not hard. I've already looked at the end. There are multiple choice, and it's kind of funny because if everybody's out there, we were talking about AI. Super easy to get questions. Right. Trivia questions. Super easy. All right. So really quick here. What is the capital city of Jamaica? Montego Bay, Kingston, Ocho Rios, or Negril?
What do you got?
What do you got,
I'm
Brandon?
gonna say Negril.
Kingston.
Kingston. Ding, 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 ding. Do we have let's see. Do I have an applause or do I have a? Oh, no. Nope, it's not that one. Where's the clap? I don't want to go wah, wah for Brandon here. All right, question 2. You have a shot at this one.
Here we go.
What famous reggae musician was born and raised in Kingston? Peter Tosh, Jimmy Cliff, Bob Marley, or Bunny Wailer?
I'm gonna just say Bob Marley.
It's Bob Marley.
Bob Marley, that's the correct answer. All right.
Nice.
All right. What is the name of the historic fortress located in Kingston Harbor? A, Fort Charles, B, Fort Clarence, C, Fort Charlotte, or D, Fort Royale?
Fort Royale.
That's what I'd say too, but I'm just guessing.
Oh, you're just guessing on this one?
On that one.
Oh, it's all right.
It's
It's
not what childhood
Fort
me knew.
Charles.
Oh.
That's okay.
I
That's
didn't
okay.
know.
You didn't know that one?
I did not
That's
know
okay.
that one.
That's okay. What is the popular Jamaican dish made from salt, codfish, ackee fruit, and seasonings? A, rice and peas. I feel like this is
Ackee and saltfish.
okay. D, ackee and saltfish. You didn't even have the answer. There you go. Now,
That one I used to eat growing up.
Did you
that
really?
one. Yeah. Okay, so that was like a common dish.
is it really
It was
tasty?
delicious.
You'd still eat it to
Yeah.
this day.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I found a couple of good places out here too.
Please share.
Yeah, there's a place called Ackee Tree off of El Cajon Boulevard. Really good.
Okay, all Jamaican.
All Jamaican.
Okay,
What was that dish called?
Ackee, Ackee
Yeah.
and saltfish.
ackee and saltfish. Yeah.
Ackee.
Ackee.
It's this plant with a toxic seed in the middle. So you have to make sure you cook it properly.
Oh, wow.
And then the meat of it is like this yellow. It kind of looks like eggs, actually.
Really?
Yeah, if you see a picture of it, it looks like scrambled eggs.
But it's
it's a
fish,
fruit.
or it's a fruit.
Eh, okay, that's the fruit, but then you have the fish.
Yeah, then you have the fish,
Okay.
which is way too salty by today's metrics. Like asking for hypertension, but
Yeah. Well, you're eating it as a kid.
right, you know. And
Daily? Are you eating it daily as a kid or?
I would say a few times a week for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the main staple dish.
Nice.
That's
I'll have to give it a
incredible.
shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
think
feel
you'd
like that's
it.
where we're headed.
I'm a
They have
salty
happy
guy.
hour? You're a salty
I'm
guy?
a salty guy.
Yeah. I mean, it's really good, you know, and a lot of my family on the island didn't have any health issues. It's a family that immigrated to America and to Canada that started developing health issues. So there's something to
Maybe
to be
little
said
correlation.
about that diet. Yeah.
Wow.
Correlation.
Good to know. I'm gonna hit that place up. And you said you had a couple places?
Yeah. The other one is called Island Spice. You know, it's hit or miss depending on.
Who's cooking that day?
Yeah.
Don't you hate that sometimes
do.
with the chefs?
Right.
Where's
And
that one
I
at?
think that one's near Burial Logan. So.
Okay.
Very cool. Well, good answer on that one. Let's see.
Didn't even need multiple choice.
I know he's all
I got
bam.
excited for that one.
I know. You knew exactly. I was like, what's
Right.
the popular? You're like, done.
Uh-huh.
All right. What is the name of the famous street market in downtown Kingston known for its vibrant atmosphere and local crafts? Port Royale Market, Trenchtown Market, Coordination Market, or Kingston Craft Market?
Again, I'm going Port Royale Market.
Trenchtown Market.
Nope, it's Coronation. So like
really?
crowning. So like right, that's crowning,
Yeah,
crowning
yeah.
market. Yeah.
Interesting.
All right, we just have a few more here. Which iconic music festival takes place annually in Kingston, celebrating reggae music and culture? Rebel Salute, Reggae Sunsplash, Sting, or Reggae Sumfest?
Sting.
D.
D?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Sumfest. It's Reggae Sumfest. You been to it?
I have not.
You haven't?
No.
When's the last time you've been back to?
I would say I was 12.
You were 12,
Because
yeah.
you know I grew up military. So,
Right, you were gone.
Right. Traveling all over Georgia, Alabama, Germany.
Well, let's just go right into
Yeah,
it.
I
Let's
was gonna say,
talk about.
so-
All right, so we might end up finishing, but Brandon, you
Right,
lost.
right.
You,
feeling
I
you
spent
lost.
so much time with the military.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it just rewrites your memories for that.
I
don't
believe
have
it.
my accent. I'm one of the only people in my family that doesn't have my accent anymore. I'm the only one that grew up military. So
So okay,
all
so
that traveling.
let's talk. Let's start from the beginning. Born in Dallas,
Yes. Or born in Killeen.
in Killeen,
Fort Hood, Killeen,
Fort
Texas.
Lane. Okay, so you're
And
born in
then-
Texas.
Yes, and then I went back to Jamaica to grow up. My mom was in the Army at the time, and she got deployed to South Korea. So she left me in Jamaica with the family. She didn't have any family in America at the time.
Oh, so that was the move. That's why
Mm-hmm.
you moved back, because it's not like she was stationed back in Jamaica or anything.
Right,
She moved back.
right. She was on a deployment and couldn't take me with her.
And how old were you?
I was 2, or maybe she came back for me when I was 2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That had to be tough.
Shortly
That's-
after I was born, so I didn't even know she was my mother actually when she came back for me. So I think it was she
That's-
came back at 2.
That had to be tough on mom.
It was. It
Oh.
was. She still tells me that story. You know, like
I
I
bet.
thought I was being kidnapped. I cried the whole way on the plane, and it was rough on her.
Did
Mom.
what kind of family? Like grandma, grandpa?
Grandma, 3
Okay.
aunts, 4
3 aunts.
uncles. I had a huge family out there.
That's cool.
Yeah, like 7 cousins. It was literally like a little village.
Yeah.
Raising me. So.
I mean, she made the right decision. She had. God, that is
the
just.
sacrifices
so
started as soon as birth. You know, for my mom and for me. So
Right.
That's so. Growing up there until 12.
yes, I would go back and forth.
Okay.
Like summer vacations, things like that, because she came back for me, and then we went to, where was the first place? I want to say Fort McAllen, Alabama. Fort McAllen, and then to Germany, Wurzburg, Germany.
How old were you then?
Let's see, because my brother was actually born in Germany. I have a half brother, younger brother. He's 26 now, 26, 27.
Okay.
So I want to say I was 4 maybe when we went to Germany.
Oh, so
Yeah.
it's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
pretty
Alabama,
quick.
then Germany.
Yeah.
So your memories of Germany are very vague.
Very vague.
Yeah.
Very vague. Pretty young. Like I remember having to do the first grade twice because they lost my documents coming from America to Germany.
Oh,
Do you find that is that common in
Lose
people
the
that
documents.
people that are moving with their children to different countries?
I think in like the late 90s.
In the late
yeah,
90s,
you
it
know,
was. Yeah, there was no real
Right.
staple of how to do it there. There's
You know, we were still
The
on
facts.
floppy disks back then.
that's
You
true.
know,
Little dial-up
so,
modem.
Right.
Okay,
So,
so you're Germany 4, and then
yeah, Germany and then Georgia.
okay.
And then Georgia was Fort Benning, Georgia.
Huh.
And then spent, I want to say 3-4 years. I haven't had to crunch the numbers. in
I know
a
I feel
while,
bad. I'm
right?
asking you just.
But
hey,
that's-
we're going.
that's okay,
take
that's
it.
okay.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
walking back.
Yeah, Georgia and then Missouri was after that.
That had to be
'Cause I know I
tough.
started high school in Georgia. So I was out there long enough to start high school, and then I transferred and finished high school in Missouri.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Tough
And then she
moving that
retired
much.
in Missouri, which
Oh.
is part of the reason that inspired me to join the Air Force. Because I looked around at all the places we'd been, where we'd come from,
Right.
and I said, absolutely not, Mom. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are
Yeah.
you doing? At the time, there were like places we were briefed on that we couldn't go because of our skin color, you know? Like,
wow.
don't go out this gate
Oh,
at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, because, you know, like this place has a lot of KKK, or this place is,
Yeah.
they haven't seen black people very
Right.
often. So there was all those little things to navigate at the time.
And you're going to school there?
I was going to school there. I went to Missouri State University, which was in Springfield, which wasn't bad.
Right.
Like part of the reason I picked it is because it was little
More
bit-
diverse.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
But that had to be tough, bouncing all over and then getting somewhere
Yeah,
and then not being able to feel comfortable where you
right,
are.
I
right.
was gonna say, do you have any memories? Do you have any friends from that childhood? Because I know you're bouncing around and
Oh yeah, I've kept touch with friends from all different walks of my life.
That's
like I see
cool.
those as different phases in my life.
right.
And I have friends that are still following me on social media. We talk every now and then that I met at like different phases in my life. Like some I met in Georgia, some I met in Missouri, some I met in the Bay Area, which was after I joined the Air Force, which was like on my timeline, you can see the different stark transitions of
Right.
Yeah.
the decisions I was making in my life. So I have friends from all walks. They see the changes that I've made now. You know, some are supporting me. Some are like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah. Well, you went through the whole like pen pal. Like you actually had to write people to stay in touch when you were
No.
younger.
No, actually, no. It was
It was
phone,
our-
it was phone calls. So
Oh yeah, it was still
there
phone
was- there was
calls,
a-
but
there
you
was-
could write. I
I
mean,
could
it was
write,
yeah.
right.
There
There
was
was
still
that
mail.
era. There
Yeah,
was
yeah. It
that
was that
era.
era.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Now it's super easy.
Just DM
Right.
Yeah.
anywhere,
Right.
anybody.
You know?
Find out who people where they are.
You know, it's bittersweet depending on how you look at it.
Right. So all this travel. Look at your mom. You look up to your mom.
Yes.
Look up to what she did for you. The sacrifice she made. Coming out of high school, where were you? Like, where was that direction? Why the Air Force? I know you kind of said that, but like, why even military?
It was all I had known at the time. you
Gotcha.
know? So, and the one piece of advice my mom gave me was don't go Army. She had retired Army. She said, if you want to do the military, just don't go Army.
Why was that?
She had lived it. You know?
She lived it.
She had lived it.
Yeah, as a black female,
Mm-hmm.
like that's
Right.
in that time. That's crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Air Force is where you picked. You were stationed out of.
Albuquerque, New Mexico, Kirtland
Okay.
Air Force Base.
Yeah.
I worked on nuclear weapons, so that's the biggest American nuclear stockpile in the world.
Wow.
How?
So that was my
Just
first
jumping
duty
right
station. Yeah. Yeah. And that's still the tip of the iceberg, you know? That gives you some context.
Yeah.
So I went Air Force because it was more intellectual based, you know. Like Army, it was doing what you can with implementation of your hand. She was a supply sergeant. I took the ASVAB test. The highest you can score is a 99, scored a 98. My options were cryptologic linguist or nuclear weapons maintainer. I chose the first one, but waiting for a position to open was taking longer and longer, and I was joining the military to leave Missouri ASAP.
Get me out of here.
So I settled for nuclear weapons.
Quite the settle.
Right. And the irony was, though, it's a career field that doesn't have a lot of diversity either. At Kirtland Air Force Base, there was maybe 200 nuclear weapons maintainers, and there was 4 black people.
Wow.
But I wouldn't say that overt racism was ever something I had to deal with throughout my journey. And that's a blessing for sure, considering the places I'd lived, like even Alabama or McClellan, Alabama. So,
I was going to say, did you feel, okay, I left where I felt this, and now I'm right back into feeling this again? Is this just the world? Is this just where we are?
Right. But, you know, I looked for the silver lining there. I understood that when people were trying to connect with me, they had a limited perspective on how to do so. So there was that cushion of understanding, like this person isn't being intentionally offensive.
Right. So you could be,
Because I was working with people that
educate
never
them a
seen-
little bit.
right? Or just find common ground on them. It's like something I do now in real estate as well.
Right.
So I could say I've had a whole life of practicing that.
yeah.
But it wasn't even something to correct them on. It's like, okay, I understand that some of them had never seen a black person until they started the military training,
Right.
going to basic military training for the Air Force. So understanding that context for them, I'm like, okay, this person is trying to find a connection. We're going to be working together for the next 4 years. I was out there 4 years.
Did you see that change at all through your 4 years, or was it?
I'd say it was more or less the same, but I mean, Albuquerque, New Mexico, this experience in nuclear weapons was set against that backdrop of a lot of Native Americans and Hispanic people out there. So it was a lot of dichotomies all in one place.
Right. That had a PR to deal with.
I had a good time.
Yeah.
I had a good time.
Well, guys,
Little malfunction.
how much? Hey, that's why I'm here. And I'm not in that seat here. I forgot to erase these cards before I got in here.
Oh, Levi
Yeah.
saving the day.
Yeah, that was a full card there. So I
Would have lost
appreciate.
Levi.
Yeah. I was
So
like,
did you get that that little.
Oh, I still got you guys there. Yeah, cool. Make sure I got you guys. But that's why, now I'm worried about this card going out. But we're all good. I'm watching. I just saw it on me. We don't need my camera.
So
all right. So where we leave off?
We're there for 4 years.
Yeah, there for 4 years. Albuquerque, New Mexico. I got orders to the Netherlands, which is basically your dream deployment, being in that career field. And there were people that were in the AFSC. That's just like the security code. It's the same thing as MOS. There were people in that career field for 10, 15 years trying to get this duty station. And I was like randomly selected lottery style.
I was just going to say lottery style selection.
Yes, absolutely. Nice. And that was a blast. Got in way more trouble than I needed to. Not official trouble, but
in the Air Force.
It's not on the record.
Right. So, I mean, I got stationed out there. A lot of people, what I saw them do when they get stationed in foreign countries is they just stick to what they know, stick to their community in the military. Me, I branched out into the culture.
Okay.
And that's what I did everywhere. I did that in Missouri. I got to know the locals, made friends from all walks of life, you know.
Mm-hmm. So what year was it, Netherlands?
2014.
Okay.
2014 to 2016. Yeah.
And so you got those orders and instantly you're like, yes, here we go.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, and then backtrack a little bit. Before I joined the Air Force to go to my first duty station, Albuquerque, New Mexico, I had a girlfriend at the time who I had accidentally gotten pregnant, and so what
a blessing in disguise,
right?
You know,
right? You know, it's my 13-year-old son that's here now, and he truly is a blessing.
Yeah.
But at the time, you know, I was 19, getting ready to go, and I had no idea what to do, but I knew I wanted to try and do the right thing.
Yeah.
So I said to her, "Okay, let's get married. Let's try this out."
Very cool.
Come to my first duty station with me.
And was it a long-time girlfriend or?
Maybe like 8 months.
Yeah, that's not long.
Not at all. Not at all. But you knew I wanted to try and go the correct route. And so we got married, and then I went off to training. Got to my first duty station with her and this newborn child. He was actually born while I was in training. Training went longer for my AFSC than others. So I was on the phone for his birth.
Oh.
I've always been in the picture, despite everything that I've gone through that you'll hear a little bit about. I've always managed to find my way back to wherever he was at because his side of the family also grew up military. That's kind of how we met in the middle of nowhere, Missouri. Mm-hmm. So I've always managed to find my way back to wherever he's at to like celebrate his birthday or big events with him. So
that had to be tough, birthing on the phone.
Yeah.
Just not being there.
I had requested like to leave to be there, but I was just too new in the training.
Yeah.
Didn't let me go.
Because you're in Albuquerque at the time.
Right. No, training was in Whiteman, in Texas, Wichita Falls. Wichita Falls. In Texas. So.
Tough.
Yeah. But got married. Long story short, it didn't work.
How long?
We were both too young, like 6 months.
6 months? All right.
She had never been away from family before. I had never had that level of independence with like consistent money coming in.
Yeah.
You know, so I thought I was ready to try it out. She thought she was ready to try it out. We weren't. But we've always stayed on good terms.
That's the biggest thing is to, you know, there's a lot of people that stick it out longer than 6 months who fully should not stick it out for longer than that.
Yeah.
And it gets harder and harder to break apart, and then you start resenting each other. So you did.
Right. And I see that a lot too.
Yeah.
And then on that topic, I had never seen like a healthy example of love growing up.
Right.
And the culture of Jamaica doesn't really support that because it's a country that's torn by wars and like Catholicism, colonial Catholicism, and so on and so forth. So I've never seen a healthy example of love. So I was trying to do what I was envisioning it should be while young, 19. And
with no guidance, no reference.
Right. Yeah. So my dad follows me on social media now, but he's never been in my life. I think I last saw him in Jamaica at 12.
Wow.
He stayed in New York. And I think the big split was he wanted me to stay in New York with him, but my mom was in the Army. She wanted to take me with her.
Yeah.
And I think she made the right decision at the end of the day.
100%.
Yeah.
So really it's just social media now that's keeping you and your dad connected?
I mean, we don't talk. He just follows my journey,
Just follows
which is fine by me.
An eye on
just keeps an eye, making sure what you're doing. Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's cool. I mean, like, you made the right decision for sure. Well, she made the right decision for you because you having those worldly travels. We were just talking about this the other day. Is like, you know, do we finish when we finish high school? Do we go straight to college, and then after you get through college, you then decide to travel? It's like, it's almost too late at that point. Like you should get out of high school, go and that's why the military is great because you can go and travel and do those things. See we talked about in another podcast, see poverty in a different way. You go overseas and you see a whole different light of like what we have here.
Exactly.
Gives you a whole new perspective on everything.
And then go back to school, like when you come back, or like during your deployment. Did you do school? I mean, you guys might.
I did school the entire time.
The entire time.
Yeah. So
was that for you, or for like some people do it for like their mom, some people do it for the family?
That was for you. I love learning. Like every day, I'm always learning something new. Like I'm continually learning when I'm working. Even today, I'm doing work for clients in the nonprofit. I'm like playing a YouTube video learning about tech right now is a big one, or current political events going on around the world, because I think it's all interconnected. And I just love learning. So I was doing that in the school. When I separated from the Air Force, I had my nuclear munitions systems technology degree. And then I just finished up another degree last semester with City College. That was in real estate. But that one was for the housing allowance. It's right. Being a newer agent, last year's market was crazy. I just needed something to keep the income coming, so I don't have what they call it when you sound desperate working with clients, commission breath. Somebody told me.
Is
that
it really
recently.
commission?
Yeah,
It's
I just heard that a couple weeks ago.
What is that? What does that sound like?
I've heard it.
Right?
Give me the listing.
You're right.
I need this. I need this money.
Yeah. I'll do it for 1%.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, that's pretty much what it's at.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially with everything going on with commissions recently, So, because a real estate degree, like nothing you're learning in that degree is what you're using in the field right now. So
not even taking the test, really. Honestly, you're not prepared for writing your first contract.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And I think the issue is it's too general. Like the test is what statewide, and every city, every county is
so different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another thing AI can improve, like specializing the test for different demographics and areas.
Yeah.
Like there's so much potential there.
So much potential. If it's used the right way. Yeah.
When, because it for sure will not be used the right way.
Yeah. That would have to take, Well, let's go deeper, if you don't mind.
Let's go.
So let's go. So getting out of the Air Force, when did you leave the Air Force?
2016.
2016.
Yeah. And I was in the Netherlands. And so I was separating from the military on a host nation base. So it was rocky at best. It was piecemeal. There was not the way they train you to go in is not how they train you to separate. It's a couple of classes, like 2 weeks long. It's like, all right, back into the world. And that's part of the reason why I only did 6 years.
I was going to say, so 6 years at that point.
Because my mom retired, and I see it so often that they have to reintegrate into a world that's completely alien to them for when they went in. And I didn't want to take that. So looking at her journey, the things I admired and respected, and things I was saying to myself I would not do.
Yeah.
So I did 6 years. I already knew I'd have to get reacclimated to a world that was already a little bit like the late 2000s is crazy for technology in the world. So separated. I had a friend that I'd met in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and he was getting out around the same time. And he was saying, hey, I'm going to go to San Francisco. You should go too. And I didn't have a plan. Problem number
2016.
1. Yes, 2016.
In San Francisco.
Right. So I separated, went there. It was my first time ever going there. I figured like me and him were just going to team up, start a business, do something. I get there. He wants to be a YouTuber. Like,
so 2016?
Yeah, 2016.
I'm trying to think. What was
it? At the time, it was like...
Was it YouTube was coming out?
Yeah, he was making good money doing like reaction reels to whatever was trending on YouTube.
Okay.
Those little cheesy reaction videos. And, that's not what I wanted to do. So we went our separate ways. Now I'm in a new city. I've never been. The person I thought I was going to partner with, we went our separate ways. And that's when...
Did you ever think about going back home to mom? Or
No. That was still in Missouri.
Yeah.
No, he's definitely not going home there.
Right, I left there for a reason.
Yeah.
But I ended up back there for the pandemic. So.
Yeah. So what went wrong?
The wrong crowds,
Wrong crowds.
Yeah, I started dating a girl out there. Actually, okay. So I started dating a girl. The
memories coming back.
Yeah.
All right.
Started dating a girl in New Mexico, and we broke up when I got orders to the Netherlands.
Okay.
But, we stayed in touch. She started dating a really toxic guy at the time. He was actually moving drugs across America from California to New Mexico, and she got caught up in it.
Damn.
Like, you can still Google her name to this day because it made, like, national news because of how she got caught.
Oh.
That's all.
We'll talk about that off camera.
Right. So then when I came back to America, I was like, okay, I knew you. We dated a little bit. Why don't you come to San Francisco with me and let's try and figure this out. We'll wing it. And I mean, so she had already gotten the charge and her court date was coming up. I was like, maybe we can fight this. Maybe we can figure out a way to get you out of it. So she came to San Francisco with me, and she was just a magnet for trouble. But it wasn't all her, you know. I kind of like facilitated it. And I was like, oh, sure, this makes sense. So we ended up rolling with the wrong crowds, like strippers and gangsters and the underbelly of San Francisco.
Yeah. I gotcha.
How long were you in San Francisco at this point? 2
years. Oh, at that point, all that, this started almost immediately. Like,
like hooked up with her. It's like, after you departed with that guy. Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Heavy drugs?
Yeah, heavy drugs. So she was involved with a drug dealer, and when she came back into my life, she was dealing with heroin addiction. And so I wasn't dealing with any substance abuse at the time.
Have you ever, growing up, I mean, I'm not trying to call you out on the podcast or anything, but have you ever done a heavy drug like that?
In San Francisco?
Pre San Francisco, like never been introduced, kind of. You've probably seen it, like.
Oh, meth was an issue in Albuquerque, New Mexico, for sure. That was becoming a bigger issue at the time. Aside from all the alcoholism that the indigenous native people were dealing with there, that was a huge issue. Meth was becoming a bigger issue at the time.
Wasn't that Breaking Bad?
Yes.
That was all in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
That was there.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the exposure, like people around me, the degrees of separation from me and it started getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
Just before I got back there. And then around that time, she like found dealers out there out of like, you know, the addiction. And then those people started being in my life. And slowly but surely, I ended up experimenting with hard substances as well. It went from heroin to meth to just a whole slew
just
out
the gamut.
there. Yeah.
I'm just curious. This is a question coming from, because I've lost a friend with heroin and addiction, stuff like that. I'm sure you've seen that whole thing too, going through all that. How do you get talked into, or just, I guess, being around those people? It just is like a needle in the arm is not like an easy, like,
that's
hey,
not
take
how it starts.
Oh, okay.
It's the small steps.
Yeah.
Before you realize that you're way in the deep end. It was freebasing. It was the main way they were doing it off of aluminum foil. And you know, it's like little bits by little bits, and then the frequency increased and the amount increased. And I never used the needle. So, but
you never used the needle. Okay.
No. It was
I know. I think when I think of heroin, you think of the needle abuse. Sure. Yeah.
So, and it was freebasing all these substances. So it was.
What did you feel like on meth? I know this is
productive.
Really?
Productive?
Productive. I was actually really productive out there. So I had to figure out a way to cover my expenses. Like I got an apartment that was $5,000 a month in the Dog Patch area, like the little southeast part of San Francisco. And I couldn't cover that rent. So Airbnb was coming up at the time as well. So I was saying, hey, let's just Airbnb this place and we'll stay at hotels. I essentially spent like the entire 2 years staying at different hotels out there.
Yeah, because it was cheaper to stay at a hotel, and you can supplement from what you're renting the space out.
Right. So the meth helped me stay up, be productive, coordinate deals. My ex at the time became a stripper. She had stripper friends, so that was like night shift work.
Yeah.
So there was no room for sleep.
Right.
Yeah.
So
where was rock bottom for you?
When she ended up going to prison. Like we didn't end
up being charged. So her court case came.
Right. And it was in Arizona. So it was like some rural town in Arizona. She was New Mexican. I was black. It was like a unanimous guilty verdict. So
you knew right away.
Right.
Okay, here we go.
Yes.
Well, now I got to hear the story because I'm from Arizona and a rural town. I'm kind of
I don't remember the town, but again, that's very Googleable. We could look that one up.
Yeah.
But yeah, she lost the case, and I always remember she got her hair braided before her court date, and she had never gotten it braided before. I was like, why would you do this hairstyle, this court in this town?
Because we're full of like superstitions and jinxes. And,
right.
Yeah.
And so after that was my rock bottom. Like now I felt lost. I was in these circles without her. And
what was her sentence, or what was her term?
She did 4 years. 4 years. And she reached out to me after she got out, but she went back to New Mexico. It was clear to see I had changed substantially more than she did in that time. So
You can say you saw it on the phone. You're like, I don't know if I should do it.
Right.
How do you walk away? Because I get that, like the separation, because she was a big part of it. But was there an addiction?
There was an addiction. How do I walk away? I don't know that the choice was necessarily mine. It was really a wake-up call, like starting to have more run-ins with law enforcement. At the time when I was doing Airbnb, that's when I decided I wanted to do real estate. So I had the vision of what I'm doing now all the way back then. And I knew, like, with a criminal record, felonies, you can't get licensed.
Right.
So I started seeing that, especially, like, around the Bay Area. I forget the little cities. I was, like, arrested in Vacaville. I was arrested in some of those other little towns. But it was, like, catch and release because the Bay Area is a mess for that right now.
Right.
Which kind of worked out for me at that time.
Yeah.
But rock bottom was I need to get sober. I had my son, who I'm still like trying to put on a brave face while dealing with this addiction.
Dang.
Losing more and more days of sleep because again, it starts off little by little. Okay, I can just freebase for an hour, get some work done. Okay, well now I need to stay up all night, pull an all-nighter. Right. Before I know it's like 2 days gone.
Jeez.
So it was hitting rock bottom was actually having to sit in jail for the last time for 30 days. And this was in Missouri. So as soon as I got back to Missouri, I decided I wanted to make my way back from San Francisco after being like arrested out in New Mexico. I was arrested in like 4 or 5 different states in that area because I spent so much time on the road, so much time in hotels, essentially wandering wherever friends wanted to go, like through Reno, Nevada, through Albuquerque, New Mexico. I think I got arrested in forget the name of the place, so the northern part of New Mexico, just under Colorado. But
interesting.
So
and are these all drug arrests?
No. The one in New Mexico was a failure to stop for law enforcement. In New Mexico, a law enforcement officer from Texas. So it was a miracle none of these turned into felonies.
Right.
You know?
It's cards stacked against you at that point.
Right. They were stacking. I saw that. So needed to get back home to Missouri. It was after all of the mess I'd gotten myself into, I was finally realizing, okay,
you're getting all these second chances.
Yeah.
And did your mom know what was going on? Was she kind of privy to it?
You know, and I stayed in touch with her. Me and her stayed close my whole life. So through messages, I was always brutally honest with her. Like, this is what I'm doing now. This is the crowd I'm rolling with. Like, she was always there like, hey, this is not great, but I'm glad you're talking to me about it.
That's cool.
And then she was still, so when she separated, she started working with the DOD, which is basically still the military, you know? So she deployed to Afghanistan. So she's like, we got that time difference, like 8-9 hours. She's trying to encourage me on my journey. She has no context for how to do that. I don't know that there's anybody else in my family that's dealt with substance abuse like this. So she had no context for it.
So again, feeling just like you're on your own little island.
Right. And so she's in Afghanistan at the time and at Bagram Air Base, which is like dealing with continual rocket attacks. So she's got her own trauma building. And I'm her firstborn child, and you know she's having to see me going through this. But and so I knew that we had that family home in Missouri, and she's over there. I was like, okay, this is a place where I can go and really collect my thoughts, really
just like push the reset button.
Right. And I had found faith in the midst of all this at rock bottom. You know, I had found Christ. I found Christianity.
Yeah.
All right. Honestly, Christianity found me.
Right.
Well,
Christ found me. Yeah.
They were tapping you on the shoulder over and over again, being like, this is not what you were meant to be.
Right. 100%.
You know?
And the last arrest in Missouri was over having a straw, like paraphernalia. Yeah. So I had gotten stopped and I had the straw on me, which honestly, I'd had the substance on me, but I must have lost it. So I remember thinking, what happened?
Wait, how did I just get out of this?
Right, but honestly, it was a blessing, you know?
Yeah.
So I spent 30 days there, and then because I was a veteran, there was an option in Missouri to go through a program called Veterans Court, it's geared towards people dealing with alcohol abuse, but it involved like a lot of urinalysis. I think I did, in a span of a year, it was a 1-year program, I think I did like 120 UAs, just like every couple of days, peeing in front of somebody.
Did you ever have to get somebody to pee for? Oh no, you're peeing in front of somebody.
Right? Yeah, no. And this
Some
is a
people,
small county.
Okay,
it was like very small jail. Like these cops, the small old.
So how many times over a year?
Like 120 times.
Did
So
you-
it was at random too, just random when you get the text.
Yeah.
You got to go into the courthouse and do a UA.
Yeah.
And
Did
you're
you see
living-
the same person that watched you every time? You're like, hey, Ronnie.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Same people in the program.
Same
the ones
people.
that didn't wash out, the ones that didn't fail.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, there was a lot of that. So that last stint in jail, it was like 30 days clean. Then I had to do that UA for a year. So it was forced sobriety. And then after that, that was the end of 2019. I was thinking, okay, now I need to figure out my plan, which I had decided in San Francisco during like a rager, a binge of not sleeping. I'd come down to San Diego one night to go to the gas lamp, and I saw the area, and I said, this is a beautiful city.
Wow.
I want
Yeah.
to live here. And so after that program, after I'm sober now for a year, I'm thinking, okay, now let me figure out a way to make that plan happen.
And you said this is the end of 2019.
Yes, end of 2019. And then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
You know? And so,
It's just like you can't catch a break.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right. So I didn't get out here until the end of 2021 when I thought it was easing up, and then it locked down a little bit again, beginning of 2022.
Right.
And nutshell, that's how I got here now.
And is your mom still gone at this point, or is she back home?
She came back home just before I left. So she came back home sometime because the bombs are getting so bad out there too. I think it was a precursor to what we're seeing now, honestly.
Yeah.
Like she had lost a friend in the DOD. After
That's
doing 20 years in the
scary.
military, she's still having to deal with losses out
Right.
there. So she came back home. We were like bumping heads in this home. It was just us two. And I was like, okay, now we get along so much better from afar.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Messaging,
Right.
video calls, and all
Yeah.
that. So,
I think like all.
right. You know,
Mother, sons, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
what made it more alluring was that she was deployed and it would be this whole family home to myself.
Right.
So
Yeah.
when she came back, I was like, it's really
It's
time to
time.
go. Yeah, it's time to go. It's time to take another leap.
Yeah, yeah.
And then,
And where's your son at this point? Is he still in?
he was moving around. Where was he at? Arizona. He was in
Okay.
He's in
Arizona.
Arizona.
They spent the pandemic in Arizona, and now he's in Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
And we were talking about this out there. So what was the pandemic like in Missouri?
It was just another day, just another week until it was like mandated
Mandatory.
by the state,
Yeah.
which wasn't until the worst part when you could not deny all the death that was happening around us. Because I worked in the restaurants out there too.
Yeah.
I worked at a restaurant, Ruby Tuesdays. I worked at another pizzeria. I forgot what it was called. But these restaurants, the business was booming.
Stayed
I worked
open.
at a steakhouse. Yeah, I worked at an Applebee's out there. Business was booming until it was like mandated because Missouri was making national news for not doing anything.
Not-
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
So then we locked down for, I think it was like a month or two. And that was enough to send a couple of the restaurants under, though. Some restaurants never opened again.
Yeah,
I think
that's
they
the-
knew that.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the reason why they wanted to pretend that this pandemic wasn't actually
Wasn't
lethal,
happening.
right?
Yeah. Well, it's smart. I mean, there was a lot of people that lost. I mean, there was good and bad things that came out of it, but yeah, poor restaurant, or especially the mom and pop shops that
Yeah,
depended on everyday business.
right.
There's a lot of people that took pivots,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like that's part of this industry too. You got to pivot big time when you get it, whenever you can, and a lot of restaurants did just takeout. Like I remember California here, I'm like, you walk into the restaurant with the mask on, there's only one server there and like one cook in the back, probably getting checked every day, which is great, but you found a way.
Is that how it was in California? I don't know how the pandemic
Oh yeah, it
there.
was
Yeah.
full lockdown. Beaches were even locked down, and
Beaches?
beaches. If you could not
Could
sit,
never imagine
you
that
could
in
not
this
sit
area.
on a beach. If you were walking for exercise, because you could still get out of your house and walk, you
Couldn't stop.
you couldn't stop. You couldn't stop and sit down and look at anything. It was kind of like a little walk by.
Really?
Walk by, look at the ocean. So you saw a lot of people walking on the beaches, but it was airy. Like just even driving. I don't know if you remember. We're coming from two different spots here, but it was kind of nice. There was no traffic.
Yeah, nobody
There's
out.
nobody on the. Everybody was staying in, but
I remember my first time going out. I got all geared up, the boots on, the mask. I was like, "Who am I? What's going
The
on right
splash
now?"
shield, right?
Uh-huh.
oh yeah,
Like, what is
yeah,
this
there was
world
The
right now?
complete other end of the spectrum.
Well, I mean, totally. Like I was the one because we, I have a family of four, and I swear my family did not leave the house. We talk about lockdown. Did not leave the house for months. I was the one that would go out and get the groceries and do the whole grocery store thing, and
I Am Legend style.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. All right, babe, I'm going out. I'll be back.
Wish me luck.
And when I got back, it was like clothes in the washing machine. Like it was a very, I mean, it was a scary time.
Inconceivable.
It was inconceivable because we had
Spending in
friends
Missouri,
losing. Yeah, we had friends losing, family members,
Right.
friends that are in the, first responders, talking about how bad it is. And, yeah, it was crazy
And
here.
in Missouri, the losses, it was saying, oh, no, it was this other underlying condition. It wasn't COVID.
Right.
There was always an explanation, which isn't technically wrong. COVID exacerbated those conditions.
Exactly.
Right.
So, but they were saying, no, this is not COVID. They're lying.
But if
This
COVID
was
wasn't there, then this wouldn't have
They
triggered.
couldn't hear that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
too logical.
That's too logical.
Whoa.
Easy.
We talked about it too. There's two different sides. You're either on it or against it, and then there was some people in the middle that just did what they had to do because they respected people.
Yeah.
That's all you gotta do is respect people.
And that's where I was at, honestly, because being a person of color, I was leery of the government. Like, I understand a lot of the things that the government did under the guise of inoculation to African Americans, So I was leery of getting more vaccines than I needed, but then I was also in the military, and I don't even know all the vaccines they gave me. So it was like...
Yeah, take this. You're going overseas. What was that?
100%. That's literally how it was, especially in training. I always think about it. It was in a basic military training. They gave you so many shots and we were sleep deprived.
It's like, what's going on? What
So
are you putting
right,
inside?
I would have
In
to
that,
look
you
at
would just like line up and like get shots, be like, all right, go fall out to the.
literally what it was like. Yeah.
Wow.
So I think I could guess at what they were, but I never knew. They weren't telling us. It was not a friendly day.
Yeah.
Right.
So I had that background, but then I also understood the government. So I was like, I will get the absolute minimum needed to be healthy or to enroll in school here in California. But then also I'm a big believer in like a diet that keeps your immune system robust.
Right.
Like looking at me today, I don't like somebody that spent so many years dealing with substance abuse. And a lot of that was making a change, like spiritually, mentally, holistically, like everything from diet to how I think. So.
Right.
Well, you can't. Everybody in here, you can't smell this man, but he smells like a spa. So yeah, we totally get it.
Yeah, and so that oil is actually really interesting. I started blending that in San Francisco because I had like friends and strippers that were dealing with like recurrent issues like staph infection, skin issues, and it was not always convenient to be able to go to the doctor. I was like, okay, so how did people deal with this before we had modern medicine? And there were things like oregano and basil, concentrated oils that actually worked. So I started experimenting with what I could source, like high quality, super concentrated versions of these and giving them to them. And it was like clearing up these topical issues all the way to psoriasis. I was like, okay, so there's something to this. And that's why I was telling you, like I sourced them from the countries where these oils are like held sacred in high regard because I know there's a potency and a concentration to them. How they smell is just like a side
Added
part to
benefit.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
So
that's
I
amazing.
like look at what the I am or the what is that site? The medical site.
WebMD?
Yeah, WebMD.
Yeah.
Like some of them actually have like actual research on them. So I'm looking at that, like what can they actually do, and then I put them together.
Making your own little concoction too.
Yeah, that's your little mad scientist
that
over
also
here.
started out of necessity too. Like,
Well, maybe that's a little side hustle.
yeah, honestly, it's something I am thinking about.
That's
trying to bring
your
to market
passion
one day,
project?
but it's so expensive to make.
Yeah.
I'd have to sell it at a loss first.
And I feel like more now we're going to a holistic state,
Right,
especially with
right.
post-COVID and going back to do we trust what's going on here?
100%.
Go back holistically and
Yeah.
Yeah.
use these oils.
And that's one of the things I like about San Diego. You can find a lot of healthy options out here.
Right.
Like some of it's still going to be gimmicky.
Yeah.
Like they just throw organic on something that is like, how can this be organic?
Right.
Like, wasn't it already organic? Like, so
Yeah.
there's always that. You need a level of discernment to know.
Well, I'm a big advocate now on taking, when you're young and you're 19, 20, even your early 30s. I mean, I'm pushing 40s. I'm in my 40s now. Like,
Are you?
yeah.
You're 30.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, but it's
I'm
like
in my 40s too.
He's at 40s.
Same
Well,
thing.
we knew that. We knew that.
Him more so than you.
Yeah.
Both of you were.
But however, like your body starts breaking down. You never had to stretch before you go out and run or do something like
Right.
that. And
No?
you take Tylenol when you're in pain, and then all of a sudden back pain happens and all this stuff, and you
Right.
pay for this insurance, and it's like, how come we're not educated early on like
Like preventative.
Preventative health.
Yeah. Right.
Why do we pay $1,500 plus with families? I mean, on health insurance for
to
just
treat the symptoms.
To treat like the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Why are we not being taught like how come that $1,500 isn't giving me my over 40 vitamin for, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I have to go and pay for that. I've got to go and pay for acupuncture. I got to go pay for my essential oil. I got to pay for all this stuff that could be preventing me from getting cancer, getting that stuff later down the road. It's just,
and, and it's a tragedy I see in my family, like the ones that come to America and they think America, everything's great in America, but no, there's an opportunity to be great in America. And it's like a fine line between that. So you can't just eat fast food every day because it's American.
Because it's American
great,
thing to do,
And a lot of people that immigrate here, that's how they think.
Right.
So
that's very interesting. I didn't think about that. You're right. When they think like, oh, there's a burger place on every corner.
Yeah, because it's American, it must be amazing. Yeah. And I did that when I went to the Netherlands. Like I had my Dutch friends taking me to their equivalent of fast food, and I'm like, this is amazing. They're like, no, this is like, fast food.
Just slow down.
So I get it. But
yeah. All right, so let's talk about your career now. Okay. Like I said, you're upcoming. This is why you're going to be great at this, because like you said, you're moving forward. You're learning as much as you can.
Right.
You're a veteran, so are you helping the veterans out there? Do you see a need for that right now?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because we didn't even touch on the nonprofit work I do. I'm coming into real estate. I got into nonprofit as soon as I got to San Diego, and a big part of that was because of my journey, because I lived it and I came out on the other side, and having seen how the public support was in San Francisco compared to here. Like there was nothing. There was corruption. I knew firsthand because these strippers knew.
Yeah. So we got some names to name. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And with all those tech industries and those icons out there, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So coming out here and seeing like it was more functional than political. Like there's still lots of nonprofits that eat up money and don't do anything for the community, but then there's so many that are putting their blood, sweat, and tears into it. And so I aligned myself with those nonprofits, and I still work with people getting into housing off the streets and people going from renting to home ownership, the entire chain of building a legacy. So there is a need for veterans. Like we have a lot of homeless veterans out here. Part of what I do is help them find housing, because there's so many resources for veterans. And then once they're in housing, stable housing, like it's my goal to start working with them to help them build home ownership, but there's so many agents that are doing it really well right now with the veterans community. I'm looking for what combination of community I'll be working with specifically. Like obviously it could be veterans, Black and brown people, but right now I just set out to help anyone that's looking for the home ownership out there, because it gets harder and harder with these interest rates and these home prices
coming out of like the drug abuse and
right.
Well, that's interesting,
into renting,
because when you got into the military, did you learn about the VA loan? And I mean, we've talked about
no,
but
that's the thing.
You don't know.
Yeah, I didn't know about that until I got here. It's crazy. Like I'd already been out since 2016. I didn't learn about the VA loan until I got to San Diego. So
that's wild. Like
when I say the information they teach you, it's not in their best interest to give you the tools.
Well, and they're not educated. They're not real estate agents out there. So you might have had a pamphlet that says, VA loans. And it's just caught up in all the other pamphlets you get that could benefit you in the long run. But you're a young soldier. You're just, that's not, those pamphlets are like.
And a lot of them go into the military straight out of high school,
Yeah.
So aside from what you're learning in college, it's also learning the discipline to read through these things and be critical of the information you're getting. And a lot of them don't have that. So they're not aware of the resources they have.
And hard to think about your life post-military. Like, okay,
when you have all these demands on you while you're in the military, it's designed so that they're getting the highest and best use out of you every day.
Right.
Yeah.
Which doesn't involve
keeping your mind right here.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, that's sad, because we probably could avoid a lot of that homelessness after, the veterans, because they have such a great plan for them.
Yeah.
And
especially when they're still in and they can buy a home or wherever they PCS to. Like,
isn't that
if I had known that.
If you've known, right? Exactly. I've talked to.
It'd be a completely different trajectory right now if I had known that. So.
And you save your money. You don't go and buy the flashy cars. Like if people go, hey, when you get out, you can have a home.
Right.
Not only can you have a home, you can have wealth. Like you can start building your wealth because you build your portfolio and before you even get out, but you get these signing bonuses and you get these little paychecks because you're getting housing already, and then you're getting these paychecks. You know, as a young kid,
spending on a flashy thing.
Oh, I remember getting my first paycheck, and I'll tell you what, kids, my first paycheck was probably $200, and I was stoked. You know, working at like a party city and stuff, and like I'm like $200. What am I going to spend this on? Like what? But I get it, because then you're like, you're not even thinking house.
Yeah. And just like you were saying, right? 19, you're not thinking about future health either.
We're on the topic of financial literacy right now. That's just not something that's really focused on and hammered in the military. Right. Like that's all under the umbrella of financial literacy, learning how to delay gratification to invest in something that's going to bring you returns, bring you equity. And that's part of the reason why I'm in real estate as well. Like, I know how much that matters to me now, having my son that's 13. Yeah. Getting ready to go into, he's actually in a program right now in high school that'll let him go get college degrees, international bachelorette, bachelor.
International. Okay.
Bachelor. How do you say that word? That big.
Bachelor? No. Bachelor.
Yeah. What's the full word though? Bachelor.
What is it? We're looking it up.
Yeah. Give me multiple choice.
If there was like multiple choice.
So, you know, I've got that on my mind now, like his future as well. And I understand that this is a sentiment that a lot of people share. You know, you're not going to talk to somebody and say, hey, no, I don't care about my future. Right. They're not going to say that to you. So it's just a matter of guiding them to that.
Guiding them, educating them, making sure they've got access to the resources.
There we go.
You know what's funny?
What is it?
Say that. Yeah, say that for us, Brandon.
International Bachelorette. I can't do it. I can't do it.
All right, I feel better. Yeah. But that's the program he's in. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I mean, you know what's funny is no one looks. I'm probably said this multiple times on this podcast, but like, when you're 18, I went to college. That's because that's what you're told to do. You know, like, you get a scholarship or whatever. And the first people you meet on a college campus is 5 different credit card booths.
Really?
And you get, hey, you want a free T-shirt? Hey, I'm in college. I would love a free T-shirt or a free this. You want to buy stuff that you don't have to pay for right now? Of course. You get tricked. I got tricked so much. I mean, I was in so much debt coming out of college because I could get away with not paying. Really, in my mind was like, I don't have to pay for this now.
My money.
And so many of the programs are like, you don't have to pay till you graduate.
Right.
Like, so you're just building up this snowball.
This crazy debt.
And
you can never get out of it. Right. So where are you going with your real estate? I mean, the community that you're involved in, that's amazing. You're getting your awareness out there. That's why I said your name is going to be, you're on Fox 5 News, dude, like already, like you're helping people. And what's crazy is you are new to this industry. You're new to this city, right?
Yes, correct.
And you're already giving back, and I absolutely love that. That's so incredible.
I appreciate it.
Where do you see yourself going from here?
I want to become great at what I do. I want to become great in real estate, and for me, that's not a dollar amount. That's how many people can I help get into the homes that they wanted at the price they wanted. I want to become proficient at that because I understand the value of that home ownership. So what that looks like, I don't know. I will let my journey this year inform me what my brand will be next year. I don't want to think, oh, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to work with because I focus on downtown right now. I think I'll end up specializing in condos, honestly.
Yeah.
But it's just getting established as the person that can help you in your home ownership journey from like all the way from the streets to home ownership.
That's incredible.
And I mean, it's about building a network, figuring out who's going to be on my side for that journey going forward.
Yeah.
And if the value is going to be about what the client wants, not what I want, not commission breath.
Commission breath,
yeah.
I love that.
And so being where I'm at right now, I'm just really learning and surrounding myself with people that are going to help me move forward.
Yeah. That's all you can do in this industry, and just and just be open to everything and ask the questions. I think that's the biggest thing. As Americans, we don't ask enough questions.
Right.
We just follow along. And so if you're asking the right questions, if you're getting, there's people out there to help you.
Yeah.
And you're with a great group.
Yeah. Dean Aguilar Group.
Good group of people.
Good group of people. giving back to the community. I think you're on the right path. How is your, and I want to bring this up because I saw your social media, your social media, your marketing, you talked about you're going into tech. Like, what does that look like? Because it's a big change.
It is.
You know, we saw what COVID hit. You got into the industry when stuff was kind of easy still. It was still kind of hot, and then it got cold.
Yeah.
And now you're making this, like, what do you see technology helping this industry? Or,
you know, I think real estate agents are a little bit more insulated from this tech tsunami that we've been seeing, just because so much of our interaction is face to face. It's that human to human connection.
Right.
But the tools are amazing for leveraging it. Like you said, on my social media, like using those tools to not embellish my journey, but just show them the adventure, the wonderful adventure real estate can be. And I think it is. I love it. I love the random unexpectedness. I love having to be able to pivot when I'm doing a showing in Chula Vista or Poway. You know, I love all of that. So tech for me is an opportunity to show that in a way that's like, come along with me for the adventure.
Yeah. Like, follow my story. Here's where we're going.
And so with my social media, I'm figuring out how I'm going to brand myself on there. It's not gonna be like all formal and stuffy. It's gonna be my multifaceted personality on display. You know, I do a lot in the community outside of real estate. I sit on the board of 3-4 nonprofits right now.
Can you give us those names?
3 or 4, yeah. Humble Design. I'm still on that board. Love them. Lots of respect for them. Lived Experience Advisors. They do a lot of policy advocating for affordable housing and policies around homelessness. And Downtown Fellowship, that's a faith-based organization. So that one kind of focuses on bringing the heads of churches together to hopefully use their property to build more housing. Lots of churches have lots of property that's not being used. Right. And an Uplift San Diego. That's another one that I owe a lot to where I'm at today for that nonprofit. I was a client of these nonprofits actually when I got here. So when I met the first nonprofit I connected with was Uplift, and I was staying out of a hotel on Rosecrans. When I said I took a leap to come out here, you know, I was like, okay, I know how to do the hotel thing because of the Bay Area. I know a little bit. And then I'd saved up plenty because of the pandemic. I was getting in-state housing allowance from the military for taking classes here while being out of state. Yeah. So my expenses were Missouri level, but my housing allowance was San Diego level. So I'd saved up plenty to make the leap, you know.
Good for you.
Learn from all the things I got wrong in the Bay Area. Took that leap out here, connected. I went to the Rock Church, you know, found a church. Yeah. Found a men's fellowship group.
Out in Point Loma?
Yeah, on Point Loma, the Rockland down there at Liberty Station.
Yeah, we got a couple of buddies that, like, I got a friend that comes here and he coaches the middle schools and stuff over there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great place to connect.
Good people.
And these are, good people.
And Pastor Miles, he's great.
Yeah, he is.
Good people.
He is. So I connected with somebody at the men's fellowship group. They said, hey, check out this nonprofit. They can help you out. It was Uplift San Diego. And without them even knowing me, I told her my situation, the president, Monica Ball, and she was like, okay, let's meet at this Walmart. Let's get you the things you need. I think I know a landlord, property owner that will approve you because my credit was destroyed from the Bay Area. Obviously, like everything went into collections. So through that, connected with them, and now I still on the board, and I still do that work. So going back to social media, I want to show that. I want to show that I'm not just a real estate agent. I am also all these other things. I'm also a father. I also do yoga, you know, these things that sometimes have like this feminine attribute to it and men avoid it, but it's good for their health in the long run. Yeah. You know, like,
I think that's changing too.
Yeah. And that's good, you know?
Yeah. Like, I think society's starting to accept us a little bit more of letting our feelings
right. And you know, it's
long good. Overdue. It's long overdue. All this suppression. That's why you get these males that are just like angry. Right. I was one of them. I'll tell you that. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, just an angry human being. And I mean, I was like that as a kid. My mom was like, "Are you on drugs?" I'm like, "No, it's just like just
and
crazy."
I was like that too. Like Jamaicans are known for their temper, so the man you see today is not a good representation of what you should expect in Jamaica because I've had to grow through all of these things that were like culturally instilled in me. Like I used to have a bad temper too. Yeah. So I mean, I would say I don't even know if I had a moral compass. Like it's So I like seeing that in society. Like men are like, okay, you need to embrace the empathy in you. And then I think that's really important in real estate too. You know?
It's going to change. It's going to be great because we all have sons here, and I'm at that same journey. Like my son is 7. These are like pivotal time where the memories are forming.
Yep.
Because that's what I remember from my parents, and so like I grew up in a great household, but like I just never saw my dad cry, maybe twice, and for like 1 second, and that was even with his dad passing. Like it was just incredible, and I went back and talked to him and asked him how he felt. I was 10 years old, you know. He lost someone that he looked up to, and it was awful, and I didn't see him cry doing that. I saw my aunts and my family members cry, but for him, I was like, how hard? I went back. I said, how hard was that for you? And he goes, son, he never showed it. And so I never learned how to deal with death the correct way.
Well, and you learn to hide certain emotions.
100%. Right. I saw that the women cried, you know, in a Mexican funeral. I'm a Hispanic. So like, I remember sitting down and seeing my grandfather in the casket. No one told me any different. Like, go and kneel and say your thing. I'm like looking at him lifeless, usually seeing him on a recliner, like happy and stuff like that. Yeah. And no talk about like how you should feel or anything like that. That's it's changing because now I can tell my son like it's okay to feel this way and let it out. And you're on that same path. Like being 13 is like a very big pivotal because a lot of hormones and stuff.
Exactly.
So
and you know, when he frustrates me, I think about how I want to address that in a way that sets an example for him as well. You know, not just like yelling at him and going off on him. Like, okay, let me express why I'm frustrated and tell you like how you could do it better. Like here's the roadmap. So you can use it or leave it, but this is the roadmap that will get you around this obstacle.
Exactly.
And I'm letting you know why my tone has changed, why I'm frustrated with you. Like things I didn't get that I wish I'd gotten growing up.
Like more of the explanation behind what's going on rather than just coming down on you.
You know? So, yeah.
Well, this has been awesome, dude. We've been talking for an hour. Didn't even seem like that.
Didn't seem like that.
It's wild, right? I feel like we just sat down, but I want to be respectful of your time because we said like a 2:30 shut off here. But like I said, Jesse, you're doing the right things, man. You're going to be huge in this industry. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep being out there in the community. I would please share everything you do because I want to support you, and I want to give back because I'm 10 years into this community, but I haven't taken that journey yet. And I would love to see what you do and help me guide me, man. I would love to do more for this community and see what people are doing. And
definitely,
we see the problem growing in homelessness here, and it's bad. And so whatever we can do to help, like let's clean it up, man. Let's get these people off the streets and the proper help they need.
And you know, I don't ever want to lose focus of the fact that San Diego is getting a lot of things right. You know, we can look as close as LA to see how the things are spiraling out of control. And the further north we go, the more out of control it is. So I think like San Diego has a fighting chance. If any city can do it, can address these things, can make this place livable for everyone, it's going to be San Diego, you know.
Nice. Yeah, there's the hope right there.
There's the hope. Well, I love it, man. I'm going to ask you just a few questions. We're going to finish the sentence just to finish this up real quick, but we'll just get to know you a little bit more. I love it when... I know, I'm putting you on the spot.
Right.
What do you love, man? I love it when what?
I love it when I feel like I was able to connect with anybody I encountered in that day. When I felt like what I wanted to say got said and it was received, and what they wanted to say got said back. I love it when things just flow.
Just like this podcast, man. I feel it. I love it. That's great. Brandon?
Ooh, I love it when?
Yeah, you love it when? Yeah, buddy. You're over there.
I love it.
Hot seat.
I love it when I make a new connection and things just vibe and you realize that, man, where's this person been? They could add so much to my life and I could add so much to their life, and it just creates an instant bond.
Yeah.
And we were trying for a while too.
Trying for a while and finally made it happen, yeah.
Well, that's why I love this industry, man. As much as like if you're in this industry and you're doing it wrong, if you're not helping the people be underneath you, because there's people that have, I've been in this for 30 years. I have these many awards. Like, okay, that's great and all, but how are you helping the people that are up and coming?
Right.
What are we doing in this industry to make it better and staying together? That's the thing. We got to stick together with all this stuff going on with commissions and just, we don't want AI taking over us, but.
And that's a good point too. Like the camaraderie is becoming more and more important.
Yeah.
Like it's not stepping on one another to get to where we go. And it's like, we need to be banding together. Like,
yeah.
Especially when it's the outside world bringing lawsuits against us as an industry. like that camaraderie and that fellowship really is
Yeah.
more important. So I see where it's going. And I
Yeah.
also like run into those agents that are a little bit jaded from being like 30 years in.
Yeah.
I ask them a question. They tell me about all their awards from like the early 2000s. And I'm like, okay, so do you need this home held open?
So back to the question. Hey, your journey is not going to stop there. You're going to keep running into those people, and you know, God bless them because they've paved the way for us in this industry. But it is time to pivot. It's time to make this community stronger wherever we go, because everybody's trying to pull it apart. And so, like, the more that we can do together, and that's why I love this podcast. I love coming on here, meeting new people. It's been so fantastic. One last question. Okay. Because this is deep, because I want to hear it from you. What's the secret to a happy life is to?
The secret to a happy life is finding your spiritual pillar and nurturing it. Like, we have these pillars we stand on: family, community, careers. But spirituality is something, like, not everybody's going to be spiritual, but if you have that pillar, if you feel that's your pillar, like, nurture it, pay attention to it, stand on it.
Yep.
Figure out what that means for you.
Right.
That's amazing, my man. I love it. Will you look in this camera, let everybody know where they can find you?
You can find me on Instagram, It's Jesse, and you can find me on Facebook, same name, Jexsi Grey. Check me out.
We're going to get him on LinkedIn soon, too.
I'm on LinkedIn, too.
Are you? I couldn't find you. I couldn't find you.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Yeah, we'll check it out. Okay. All right.
Well, you got that sound of,
well, I know. That was my fault. I'll look it up. We'll find it. Okay. I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, you know where you can find this podcast. This has been amazing. You can find us on all the streaming platforms, the full video podcast on YouTube. We're on Instagram. Go ahead and subscribe so you can be notified when the next podcast comes out. But I'm looking forward to seeing this career grow. You are the man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much again.
The long haul.
You're here for the long haul. I love it. Well, we're gonna do a follow up to this.
Oh,
when you're a couple more years in, I want to see it.
Yeah. Or even 1 year. Let's do a 1 year.
Let's do 1 year. Okay.
Yeah.
Deal. All right.
Let's do it.
Brandon, thanks again. All the way down from North County.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Jesse, for coming down.
Yeah.
Finally made it happen, right?
Finally made it happen.
Yeah. Finally made it happen.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, stay tuned for the next What's Next.